हेलो वेलकम बैक टू अनदर एपिसोड ऑन अ पॉडकास्ट. इन दिस एपिसोड हम लोग बात करने वाले हैं डॉक्टर नेहा चावला से. विल डिस्कस समथिंग अबाउट पावर लिफ्टिंग. विल बी डिस्कसिंग couple of things about setting the right expectations, her training routine, and how she has been like working as a fitness coach so far. Hi Neha, how are you?
Hi, Varnit. I'm good. How you doing?
I'm great. So first things first, I
Mm.
recently came to know like kuch months pehle that you are a doctor. So like how did you transition from there into a fitness professional?
Okay, I would not call it a transition as such because fitness just kind of happened. It started as a passion, and because obviously I wanted to get in shape and I wanted to be stronger post my pregnancy because my pregnancy was a very complicated one. So I wanted to be stronger. My focus was towards that, and that's when I started lifting weights and I got interested more and more into it. And I started reading about it, I started learning about it, and that's when I kind of also thought of enrolling into a certification. It was purely for learning purpose. There was no thought of becoming a coach as such. So, but then as soon as I got certified and the learning kind of, continued from there. And I used to work in a hospital, like I'm a dentist. So I used to practice there. And that's when I started learning more and more about nutrition. I started taking seminars for the doctors as well, for nutrition as well, because it was a multi-specialty hospital. And there were inpatients, there were dietitians as well. But when I started taking those seminars, so it kind of flowed into that, that the journey started from there only. And I kind of started coaching people from there itself. It's not that I've left dentistry. I
Okay.
still love it. I will be continuing it. Like currently, I'm on a break. So once I find a sort of settlement, because I'm in a process of relocation also. So once I settle, I will be continuing with the dentistry. So it's just a short break which I've taken.
All right, that's awesome actually. So I wanted to know like when you started off your fitness journey, like how did you begin? Like for some people start off with like simple exercises like cardio or like just
Mhm.
joining a gym. So what's that story about your fitness journey?
Yeah, so the thing is that I was in college and I was far from fitness at that time. I was a plumpy girl, quite introvert and a little low on confidence, I would say. So, but when I stepped out after my BDS, I went for the job and I started living alone. That's when I got a little bit interested into fitness because I used to live in Rishikesh. That's where I was working as a consultant surgeon in some hospital. So that is yoga capital. So I started with yoga. I was very regular with it and I started loving it. So in the beginning, it was just about yoga and probably some cardio in the gym. That's about it. But the strength training happened after I delivered my baby. So after that, that's when because I kind of realized that I need to be stronger since it was a complicated pregnancy and I wanted to work upon my strength levels. And as soon as I explored it further, and when I started seeing positive results on myself, and I used to lift heavy, so somewhere I thought that maybe I have that kind of exceptional capability. So those positive results in myself made me more and more drawn towards it. So that's how it continued.
Makes a lot of sense that you like tried out different things as well, right? Like you
Yeah,
explored
yeah, yeah.
a lot of things and you find something which you really
Hmm.
really enjoyed compared to others, and that's what you stuck to. But talking about lifting weights or strength training, how much do you think it holds an importance in your life, and how much do you think a lifting weight should hold importance in people who are just basically recreational lifters or not competing or just general population out there? I just wanted your take on the importance of it.
I think it's important, and I think that everybody should strength train. I know that we do whenever we advise other people about exercising, we say that okay, exercise and do the activity which you enjoy the most. But the benefits which we get from strength training are exceptional because it makes you stronger. And being a woman, the kind of benefits which I have experienced after I started lifting weights, like I was doing yoga, I was doing all those cardio endurance activities as well earlier. But the kind of results which I experienced with lifting weights were exceptional. Like I became stronger, and And then there are certain benefits which I don't think one can experience. That is like exploring your potential. The kind of strength you feel from inside, and it somewhere also affects you mentally. Because I think I have become mentally more resilient ever since I started lifting weights. Like it makes you stronger mentally as well.
It's important for women to lift weights as well. So
Hmm.
this is a very common myth or common like question or the common hesitancy, I would say, which I experience when dealing with certain demographic, that females are especially a bit hesitant or reluctant to lift weights in the gym. I mean, it has stayed there for quite some time.
Hmm.
It has been years since I've been like seeing this pattern over there. So why do you think this is something which is so commonly prevalent even to this state in current year with abundance of information around us?
I think it's just for the initial part. This is just a fear which anyone would feel in the beginning. But once the person gets into it, they themselves start realizing the positive impact of them. And moreover, the confidence it brings in yourself. Um, Later on, you don't just care what other one is thinking. Because when I started my journey, I remember that even I had that certain idea in my mind that, okay, I don't want to get bulky. I don't want those, muscular arms. Now, currently, I rather want to be muscular. I want, more muscle mass. And I am always, like that, okay, I should be having, biceps and defined arms and, big quads. So this is the kind of mindset shift which I have experienced from what I was earlier. So I think it's just a matter of time when you start experiencing those positive results on yourself, and the kind of strength you feel from within. There is a difference in your posture, as well as there is a difference in how you carry yourself, how you walk. I think it turns into a whole new person. Like you feel that as if you're in control of your own body.
Yeah, I can agree to that. Even for my in my experience, when I started lifting weights, I wouldn't say right after lifting weights, maybe after 1 or 2 years, once I was consistent with it, I felt a dramatic increase in my confidence levels, and I
Hmm.
didn't do anything else extra or something. It was just, I think that teaches you a lot of discipline and the consistency.
Yes,
It
yes,
it affects other parameters of your life. So that was one positive which I'm still able to carry to this state. So that's
exactly.
another win that people should actually like experience. Plus, I always believe that people should always like push themselves and lift at least twice a week and see how their body
Hmm.
progresses, even if they're not like they're looking to compete or something like that. But
Exactly.
but before lifting weights, let's just talk about beginners who are just going to lift some weights. So, what kind of mistakes they can generally avoid when they are like starting out in the first place,
Mhm.
with respect to basically strength training or some kind of resistance training?
Okay, so I think the only thing I would tell them is start with the basics first, like master the basic movements first. I would not ask them to just go under the bar and start doing barbell squats, as a beginner. Like first perform and see if you can execute a normal air squat or not. See if your joints, if you have that much of mobility, if there is any insufficiency or not. Of course, you need to have uh, some sort of knowledge, because which layman doesn't have. So it's always better to enroll under a coach or hire a fitness trainer in the gym who can actually teach you all these basic movements, because I think joint safety is a primary concern before starting with lifting weights. And many of the people who are not aware of it, they end up injuring themselves in the gym, and then they kind of leave it. They call it quits, because they get scared, and then they are like, no, gym to hamare liye nahi hai. So I think before they start, it's better that they do it safely. And the best idea is always to hire a coach. That's what I would advise.
That perfectly makes sense. In addition to that, I would also like to add a question here is, what do you think a frequency of like hitting the gym should be for a beginner when they're starting off? Like this is a very like common question that I keep getting. I'm sure you must be getting, ki which workout should I
Hmm.
follow, or how many days do I go to the gym? Which exercise plan should I follow? Yes, definitely hiring a coach will help in that case. But suppose
Hmm.
if someone doesn't want to hire a coach, like what would be your suggestion in that case?
In that case, I would say just get to the gym at least 3 to 4 times a week. You don't necessarily have to, follow a proper schedule. Like get used to the environment of the gym because gym is intimidating for sure. Like you go there and then there are all sorts of people you see. There are people who are already veteran lifters. Sometimes there are guys and there are so, of course, especially for women, they feel very intimidated and while going to the gym. So for them, I would say just go and show up and get yourself acquainted with the different kind of movements and different kind of workouts and start with the basics. That's all I think they should do. 3 to 4 times they can do that a week. And once they'll get into it, they'll themselves will, kind of start enjoying it. शुरू में सबको लगता ही होता है.
And जैसे जैसे time
Yeah.
will progress, they will understand their bodies better. They will know what works,
Yeah,
what
yeah.
doesn't. So it's going to be an experimental phase, either if they hire a coach or just start off on their own. Coach की वजह से थोड़ा सा easier हो जाएगा process, and खुद से करेंगे तो
Yes.
like there's a lot of experimentation and failure. थोड़ा सा
Yes,
yeah.
yes, yes.
Makes sense. And coming back to your training routine, like what does your training routine look like, and like what are your goals in the nearby future as well with respect to your training?
Okay, so yes, I do lift weights because I love lifting them. This is my training routine revolves around resistance training only. I go to the gym almost like 6 times a week, but currently, earlier I was training for powerlifting only. Like my programming used to revolve around powerlifting only, and I'm always under a coach for like it's been 2 years that I'm training under a coach. I always like to be under a coach because वो पूरा structure बना के दे देते हैं and then I don't have to think much about it. I can just follow it and he kind of knows that okay, what are my weaknesses, where I need to work upon. So I always prefer being under one. And so I follow likewise. But yes, my goals keep on changing. Like earlier, I was into when I first enrolled under a coach, it started with my injury because I injured my rotator cuff. So I enrolled under him so that I can, do exercises in a safer way. How I can protect my shoulder joint from certain movements. It all started from there, and when I improved slowly, then I started powerlifting. But currently, I have taken a step back from powerlifting because I am quite busy in my work. And I think competitive training demands a lot of time and dedication from your side. And if you are investing yourself in work too much, then I think you should know where to take a step back. So this is the time which I am kind of devoting more to work, settling myself professionally. But powerlifting will happen. Like I will be back, I think. These are my future goals. Future wise, I do love to come back. Because
Okay.
I did play last year. Yeah.
So, like, how was your experience from your powerlifting meet from last year? Like, how did it go, and like, how was that training phase, which you must have done before the meet, right? So, like, how was your experience with that?
It was fantastic, actually, because it was something new, and moreover, I was kind of exploring a whole new level of strength in myself because the programming was very structured. It was goal specific. The only goal was to get more and more numbers, and the only thing which I was doing was chasing numbers in those times in my major lifts. So I was progressing very nicely in those times. I started with the district level first and I won. After that, I went for the states and I won. And then I went for the national. So I played like total 5 meets in just 1 year.
Oh.
So in those 5 meets, I won, and which was a great experience. This is the reason that I would love to go back to it again.
Would you mind sharing your like the lift statistics which you lifted off in your like which one was your favorite and how much did you lift off in those in that particular meet?
Okay, so currently, like in my last meet, I played nationals. My numbers were 145 kg was my deadlift, and my bench was 57.5 in the nationals. But otherwise, my numbers are like 60 kg. And squats was 100.
Nice.
So these are my numbers. Squats is a little weak point, I think, for myself, which I continuously try to improve on. So these have been my numbers so far.
All right. I'm definitely looking forward to your like future meets which are going to happen. I'm just waiting for that. When does it happen? But like are you like currently integrating any kind of powerlifting training in your current routine, or is it just like maintenance levels of basically like there's a like a difference, slight subtle differences between bodybuilding training and the
Mhm.
powerlifting. So which approach are you like pursuing right now at this moment?
Currently, I'm only pursuing hypertrophy. Like, I'm not performing big lifts at all, I would say. Since last month, I have totally stopped it because I was also facing some sort of injury in my, I would not call it injury, like some sort of back issues I was facing. So, I've taken a break from that.
Okay.
I'm recovering from it. So I have kind of shifted my goal more towards hypertrophy because अगर आप ये सोच के करते रहो train, then it kind of make you feel depressed. So it's always better to rather shift your goals towards something else and rather feel happy about it. That okay.
Yeah.
So hypertrophy is something which I'm focusing on currently.
Could be some kind of back discomfort that you must be talking about, could
Mhm.
be related to training. So in my case, I have also discussed this in the past episodes as well. I was just like burning out real bad just because I was chasing those bigger numbers on those
Mhm.
big lifts. So that took a
Mhm.
toll on me in that case, which I almost had to take like a 2 year break from all of it just to feel better. It was not like an
Yes.
injury or something. It was just too much fatigue that I was just too
Mhm.
tired to just even face that barbell again. Sort of took that 2 year break, just did what I
Mhm.
could to maintain the muscle mass which I was carrying. So now I feel like from the last year I started like increasing the load on the
Mhm.
barbell, trying to reach back those previous numbers and move on again. I don't have any powerlifting goals as such, but yeah, I would like to definitely see myself performing a deadlift of 200 kg someday for a rep. So
Yeah, 200 club.
yeah, correct. I just want to touch that and see how that feels actually. And that's the
Yeah,
day when
yeah.
I'll retire from deadlifting because it's just too much work for me. So yeah.
No, yeah, yeah. I think it's a very demanding, field because one should know when to take a step back. This is what I was not realizing, but when I started facing back issues, that's when I realized that okay, last year was different from work front. It was not that hectic. So one should know that, where you have to draw your focus. And because I know that I cannot dedicate much, I cannot invest that much time to training. So there's no point in, straining yourself too much into that. So currently I'm just training for fitness, keeping health as a whole. Of course, joints are primary, I think. So competition बाद में भी हो जाएगा.
Yeah.
अभी.
And
Yeah.
like talking about the nutrition part, like what type of nutrition plan do you follow? Because I'm just discussing these things because people are always curious about
Hmm.
how someone goes about it. So like what does your like nutrition look like? Like do you add any supplements to take care of like your joint health? So if you can touch upon that, that will be great.
Yeah, sure. So I'm an vegetarian. I take eggs. And other than that, I don't take chicken or meat or anything. Like, other than that, I'm just dependent on eggs, paneer. I don't like soy chunks, but yes, people can take it. But personally, I don't like them. So I'm only dependent on tofu, paneer, and eggs. These are my protein sources. Apart from that, yes, I do take whey twice a day. So and the खाना घर का ही रहता है. I take dal roti. The only thing what I do is I just add any one protein source along with dal roti, and I just take veggies in the form of salad. It's very simple. It's not fancy at all. Like घर का खाना I eat and I just add one protein source. That's how I do it. Like I don't want to take that decision fatigue that okay
Hmm.
अब ये खाना है या वो खाना है. I don't do that much. So that's all I go about it. Supplements, yes, I do take supplements. I am regular in taking them for the past 3 years now, ever since I faced that shoulder injury. So I am also taking joint support supplements as well. So Hardin, yes, I do that. Every day I take at least 10 to 12 tablets
Oh,
as a part of my supplement stack.
Okay.
So
Uh,
that is there.
that reminded me of a conversation that I had with Hardik. He also, we actually counted what he was eating at that time. Like the,
Yeah.
so
Yeah, there are like 10-15 bottles वहां
yeah.
पे रखी हुई हैं जो कि मैं रोज खोलती हूँ and I just eat them and my mother is like ये 10-15 गोलियां you eat. But yes, they are important. One should be taking and one should know that, if they should be a part of your routine or not.
Yeah, and I think people will know once they get themselves checked
Mhm.
from a doctor, right? They
Exactly.
understand what are their deficiencies and just keep
Hmm.
fulfilling it. And talking about the food items, I'm sure that the food options might not be that much on your day-to-day basis, right? You must be consuming the same food items or
Yes.
preference day after day, week after week, right?
Hmm.
Yeah. So
It's the same.
that's something
I
common which I
do
see.
like I do like to cook though. I keep on posting recipes, but it's not necessary that it's a part of my daily diet. That is
Okay.
just, something which I like to do. Like I like, making stuff and then plating it.
Okay.
And most of the times I'm not eating that myself because I am kind of, sharing it with a family or someone, my brother or someone else. But this is something which I just post more like for the gram, you can say. But otherwise मेरा खाना बहुत simple होता है. Like every day I just eat the same thing. That's
Uh,
what I do.
And I think that's one habit or trait which I see is consistent in most successful dieters. I would say, if that's the term,
Exactly.
right? Like eating the
Yes.
same boring food. I won't say boring. It's just like people like interpret it as boring because we are eating the same thing and again
No,
and again.
but yours are quite interesting. Jam with dal chawal and what was it?
It was jam with eggs, chai with whey. So
Yeah. So yours are quite interesting. It's not boring.
So basically, I forgot to like take my cup of chai in morning, so I remember that it's just still there. So I just mix it with my whey protein and gulp it down. I really don't care for taste if I'm like looking for it. So that's something.
That is even difficult. I mean, मैं इतना भी नहीं कर सकती. It's good.
But when I do
Wow.
indulge in something like delicious, I
Mm-hmm.
do like to taste different cuisines or like different food items. So I do indulge in those from time to time. So I was going to
Mm-hmm.
ask you that, like, are there any comfort food items which you typically like, which is generally not included in your diet, but you try it from time to time?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, of course. I have a sweet tooth, which is kind of my weakness. So the only thing which I like to do is indulge in desserts, which that's all I do. Desserts, any dessert. I can't even specify. Bring it
Okay.
on like ice cream or white sponge or custard or fruit cream, anything. Like I love it. So, desserts, they are my comfort food.
So like you can understand the reason why I'm adding
Yeah.
jam to my that I like having something sweet.
Yes.
So that's the thing which I can
Yeah.
quantify the best in amongst all the
Yeah.
options. So that's what I go ahead with, even though it doesn't
Yeah.
taste
Yeah.
that great, but something. So yeah.
Yeah.
And you mentioned also about talking about supplements. So one question that I like missed to ask
Mm.
was that there's always a hesitancy of people again to consume supplements, even if it's as tested supplement as whey protein. I mean, you
Mhm.
must have seen like constant demonization of protein अभी तक
Mhm.
कुछ भी होता है नेगेटिव वे में इसको पोर्ट्रे करने लाइक एवरी मंथ का आई थिंक ये है कि कुछ ना कुछ पकड़ के प्रोटीन को डिमोनाइज करना सप्लीमेंट्स को डिमोनाइज करना सो आई थिंक दैट इज वन थिंग विच प्लेज अ नेगेटिव रोल वहाँ पे
Mhm.
बट व्हाट डू यू थिंक आर द अदर फैक्टर्स दैट कंट्रीब्यूट टू दिस दैट कि लोग हेसिटेंट होते हैं टू ट्रीट
हाँ.
सप्लीमेंट एज अ बेसिकली अ फूड आइटम कि मतलब क्योंकि उनको डेली हेल्थ के लिए अपने ज़रूरी है.
I think it's because of the internet, सोशल मीडिया पे जितना इंफॉर्मेशन है उतना ही ज्यादा मिस इन्फॉर्मेशन भी है. तो अब होता क्या है कि कई ऐसे सम पब्लिक फिगर्स दे आल्सो टॉक अगेंस्ट वे प्रोटीन, जो कि हमने कई बार देखा ही है. एंड दे टॉक अगेंस्ट वे प्रोटीन एंड देन देयर आर सम डॉक्टर्स आल्सो व्हिच हु आर नॉट properly informed about the whey protein, they also talk against it. तो आई थिंक जब ये लोग बोलते हैं उनके अगेंस्ट तो इसका पब्लिक पे फर्क पड़ता है. एंड द क्रेजी थिंग इज कि लोगों को अनहेल्दी चीजों को डिमोनाइज नहीं करना आता है. इफ दे वोंट बी डिमोनाइजिंग अ जंक फूड और केएफसी और मैकडीज बर्गर, दे विल गो ऑन डिमोनाइजिंग हेल्दी फूड रादर, कि वे प्रोटीन नहीं लेना चाहिए, विच इज अ क्रेजी थिंग. तो लोग बस वही जस्टिफाई करना चाहते हैं जो कि वो एक्चुअल में खुद प्रेफर करते हैं. So health is not something which normally people prefer. They don't want to invest in health. They don't want to, follow a healthy lifestyle. So shayad this is just one of the excuse they just find to, justify. तो इसीलिए फिर वो अगर कोई particular doctor या कोई अगर कुछ share कर देता है तो फिर वो उसको viral कर देते हैं, in order to
Hmm.
justify what they want to do. And I think it's very common. हमारे घर में भी, like, it took me long to convince my own parents to, कि नहीं, वे प्रोटीन खराब नहीं है. Like, it's something which is natural and it's healthy and you can take it. Even you can take it. So it really took me a long time to make them realize that. So it's like very common, I think. और इसका कारण यही है कि the misinformation that floats around the social media.
And I think it's going to float around future. Maybe can't do anything about
Yes,
it.
definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like misinformation की अगर बात कर ही रहे हैं तो like what's your approach कि how do you segregate अच्छा information from the खराब information? I keep asking this question multiple times because सबका अपना अलग approach होता है to look at information. And I'm like confident कि कुछ ना कुछ change होता रहेगा. अभी का information बाद में change होगा. We should be open to learning. But like how do you approach a new information which could be potentially like harmful or could be like helpful? Like how do you typically differentiate between that?
I think whatever you are reading, like on social media, it's always to see the science behind it. Like, try to understand the science behind it. अब कोई भी अगर कोई बात आप पढ़ते हो कि ओके, सपोज इफ यू रीड समथिंग लाइक कि रात को कर्ड नहीं खानी चाहिए, तो आई वुड से कि लाइक ट्राई टू अंडरस्टैंड द साइंस बिहाइंड इट, कि ऐसा क्यों है. बिकॉज मेरे घर में भी ऐसा होता है कई बार कि माय सिस्टर इन लॉ सेज कि ये देखो दीदी क्या लिखा है इंटरनेट पे, आई एम जस्ट रीडिंग कि ये ऐसे नहीं करना चाहिए. एंड देन आई आस्क हर कि व्हाट्स द साइंस बिहाइंड इट. सो दिस इज माय कॉमन क्वेश्चन. So whenever you read something on the internet, I think the only thing which you should do is try to research about it and see if you can. Of course, सबको scientific articles पढ़ने नहीं आते हैं, लेकिन कुछ अच्छी रिलायबल सोर्सेज ऑफ वेबसाइट्स होती हैं जो कि साइंटिफिक आर्टिकल्स को भी आगे डिकोड करके सिंप्लीफाइड फॉर्म में लिखती हैं. तो यू कैन डू दैट. अब कॉमन मासेस के लिए सेग्रीगेट करना बहुत डिफिकल्ट है, क्योंकि जो नॉर्मल आर्टिकल्स दे कम अक्रॉस, अब कितनी बार ऐसा होता है कि यू डू कम अक्रॉस सम रियली क्रेजी इंफॉर्मेशन ऑन वेबसाइट्स लाइक टाइम्स ऑफ इंडिया और टाइम्स नाउ और समथिंग, जिसमें ये सब कुछ लिखा होता है बट वो गलत होता है. तो वो नॉर्मल लोगों को तो नहीं पता है ना. अ लेमैन वुडंट अंडरस्टैंड दैट. सो समटाइम्स इट डज गेट डिफिकल्ट, but the only thing is to apply your own common sense as well to understand anything. The thing is that just understand the science behind it and what's exactly the reason.
Yeah, it makes sense. Plus, I think following the right people helps, I would say.
Yes.
But right people तक पहुँचते पहुँचते कई लोग बहुत गलत गलत लोगों से भी होते हुए आते हैं, तो किसी को जल्दी मिल गया तो it's good for them. But I think इसका solution is basically to just like accept सारा information. पहले तो सुन लो, not like just सुना और follow करने लगो. Just listen to it. If you like खुद का भी gut feeling होता है right कि if it makes sense or not, थोड़ा सा वहाँ पे लगेगा. I'm not saying talking about scientific literature के बारे में gut feeling निकालो, but it's like common sense वाली चीज़ है. अब like कोई आके just face fat के लिए अलग से exercise पूरा course sell कर रहा है, तो that doesn't make sense, right? ये you just understand red flags पता चलते हैं वहाँ से. तो I think it gets better with time. But like you mentioned, right, some people take out some time to like उसको review करते हैं studies को and simplify it for the masses to read. So that's another like great thing that people can do that. Moving forward, when it comes to like the mindset of people, right, whenever let's just say beginners को mostly I think ये concern होता है when they are like they don't have their expectations straight, मतलब सही expectations नहीं रखते हैं, and sometimes we have to talk them into like setting the right goals. So how do you like go about it or set the right expectations to a particular person in that case? So it could be like I'm not saying it would be, definitely it's case to case basis, but like what's the generic approach that you take usually?
The only thing which I tell the first thing which I tell my clients, whenever they approach me, is to look at your fitness goal from the health perspective. They should address it, in improving their quality of life as a whole. So that should be their end goal, not the numbers on the scale, because most of the clients are coming for weight loss की यही सबसे ज्यादा सबका common
Hmm.
concern होता है कि मुझे इतना weight loss करना है. So the only thing which I tell them, which when they approach me, is that just forget the numbers. Just don't show me that body composition analysis, क्योंकि कई लोग आजकल they're crazy about that as
Hmm.
well कि इतना body fat percentage है. Then I ask them कि don't tell me what is a body fat percentage or something. Tell me how are you feeling about your body? Like what are your trouble areas which makes you feel underconfident? I don't want to know about that, what the machine is telling you. So the talking about realistic goals. So if they'll look at fitness with a health perspective in how they feel as a person, and also if they can improve the quality of their life, that should be their end goal. This is what I feel is the most realistic goal which one can always expect. Apart from that, it's always good to set goals, which is what I believe, because it kind of makes you feel you continue to stay motivated towards it if you are having goals. And it's always better to set smaller goals instead of major goals, like कि मुझे 2 महीने में 10 kg लूज करना है. दिस विल बी लाइक आई थिंक अब बहुत बड़ा गोल हो जाएगा. तो इंस्टेड ऑफ दैट दे कैन probably think of small small goals की probably this week, for the first week, I'll instead start with including one protein source in my every meal. For the beginners I'm talking about, so they can just set small small goals instead. They are successful in long run.
And I think the first mistake which most of the beginners make is like not looking at the larger picture, I would say.
Yes.
So because it's all about, I think, patience or consistency. I mean, as
Mm-hmm.
cliched it may sound, but that's the only thing which is going to get them long lasting results which they can sustain आगे जाके भी.
Mm-hmm.
Even if they like quit everything, they would still have something to show up for, because जो दो
Yes,
दो साल
yes.
तक अगर हैबिट किसी का बन जाता है, तो more or less that stays with them for the rest of their life, because खुद को
Yes.
satisfaction रहता है. इवन ऑन माई वर्स्ट डेज आई एम स्टिल वॉकिंग अराउंड. मेरे को हैबिट है कि कुछ ना कुछ वॉक करना है, लाइक कुछ भी एक्टिविटी नहीं हुआ,
Mm-hmm.
आई जस्ट गो फॉर अ स्मॉल वॉक एंड कुछ कर लिया इस तरह से. आई नो कि अगर
Mm-hmm.
दिन में प्रोटीन अच्छा नहीं हुआ तो आई जस्ट हैव 1.5 स्कूप ऑफ वे, एंड दैट इज समथिंग बेटर देन नथिंग. तो दैट इज समथिंग ऑन द
Yeah, yeah.
लोएस्ट ऑफ द डेज विच आई लाइक टेंड टू डू. लाइक ये सबकॉन्शियसली आ जाता है दिमाग में कि आज खाना अच्छा से नहीं हुआ, ये नहीं हुआ, तो जस्ट गो हेड एंड डू इट. सो आई थिंक ये फॉर्म तभी हुआ जब आई फोर्स माई सेल्फ अ बिट टू फॉर्म दी सर्टेन हैबिट स्टार्टिंग से.
Mm-hmm.
आई नो कि शुरुआत में इट्स गोइंग टू बी चैलेंजिंग, इट्स डिफिकल्ट, लाइक हर नई चीज़ इज definitely difficult and overwhelming.
Mm-hmm.
So but what other option do they have, right? Because और क्या करेंगे अगर इसको नहीं
Exactly.
करेंगे. So that's what I wanted to add इसमें. And
Yeah.
before I like wrap up this podcast, so one last question I would like to know your thoughts on is ki, what would be your top 3 suggestions to people who are trying to improve their like routine, lifestyle, and their general health?
Okay, so first of all, I would say invest in your health, जो कि बहुत ज्यादा लोग नहीं करना चाहते हैं. Like they will go on spending a lot on their clothes, eating outside and fine dines, ordering from Swiggy or Zomato. But when it comes to investing in their own health, they don't want to do that. So this is something which I would say that they should do. First of all, and secondly, eat your protein, जो कि इंडियन डाइट में बहुत ही कम है. एंड आई डोंट थिंक, क्योंकि मेरे पास जितने भी अगर क्लाइंट्स आते हैं, दिस इज व्हाट आई हैव ऑब्जर्व फ्रॉम द पास्ट 3 इयर्स, लोग 40 ग्राम भी प्रोटीन नहीं लेते हैं एक दिन. इतना कम रहता है उनका, बिकॉज मोस्ट ऑफ देम आर वेजिटेरियंस, एंड इवन इफ दे आर नॉन वेजिटेरियंस तो भी चिकन रोज खाने का नहीं रहता है. तो प्रोटीन्स की बहुत कमी है. सो दिस इज समथिंग विच दे शुड इंक्लूड. ट्राई टू इंक्लूड द प्रोटीन्स इन एवरी मील ऑफ देयर्स. This is, I think, the one of the top suggestions which I would give. Include protein. And lastly, I would say that learn about fitness. मुझे लगता है सबको सीखना चाहिए. Not necessarily fitness coaches, but it's always good to know the basics at least. Because थोड़ा बहुत भी अगर हम fitness fairs के बारे में if you learn, then you will be able to apply the same to your loved ones, to your family people, and to your kids as well. So it's better to like learn more and more about fitness. They're like the knowledge is free. Follow the right people.
Yeah.
Follow me on Twitter and Instagram.
Okay.
The people who give legit information. Yeah.
So the top three advice would be invest in yourself, protein khana hai, and follow the
Hmm.
right people, and definitely आपको on Twitter and Instagram.
Yes.
So yeah, thank you for doing this and thank you for joining.
Thank you so much, Varnit. It was a great time with you.